How many people do you know? Of those people, what number are acquaintances? How many people in your life would you consider friends? Who are your 5 closest friends? Off the top of your head, can you name the most important 150 people in your social circle? Well, in the early 1990s, a British anthropologist named Robin Dunbar found a correlation between primates' brain sizes and the number of intimate relationships that can be nurtured and maintained. When studying the human brain, Dunbar concluded that the average number of people we can hold stable relationships with comes to about 150. In today's video, I want to discuss Dunbar's number and how this theory could relate to your prepping goals. I'll also give you my thoughts on today's societal norms and my opinion on what's going on in our current culture. What's up, preppers? I'm the Community Prepper. And before we get into today's video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you like content like this. This will alert you when I post a new video on YouTube. Originally, I came across the theory of Dunbar's number from a book I read titled "This Book is Full of Spiders" by Jason Pargin. Pargin is a horror, sci-fi, comedy, fiction author, and definitely one of my favorite writers. You may have seen a 2012 movie titled "John Dies at the End." Well, that's one of Pargin's books that was made into a film. Much like my very first YouTube video about the Tytler cycle, this video will be more of a philosophical analysis as an approach to prepping. Anyway, after I read Pargin's book, I became interested in looking into Dunbar's number, and what I found was very insightful. I'll connect the importance to this theory into prepping by the end of this video, so stick with me. The basic concept of Dunbar's number relates to the size of the neocortex in human beings. The neocortex is responsible for brain function such as sensory perception, cognition, generation of motor commands, and language. Primates and humans desire interaction with each other because we are highly social creatures. How many different individuals we can have intimate social relationships with is based on the size of our neocortex. Dunbar theorized that number in humans to be around 150. After our social circle grows over 150, it becomes harder to keep close ties with individuals. The social group can begin to break down as we may be spreading ourselves too thin, trying to maintain stable relationships. We lose track. We simply don't have the time, energy, and drive to participate in large social groups while retaining close relationships. Relationships take time to establish and time and effort to grow. Dunbar states that close relationships are knowing people within our social network and how they relate to every other person. When referring to stable relationship, Dunbar quotes, "It's the number of people you would not feel embarrassed about joining, uninvited for a drink if you happen to bump into them in a bar." If we look back and study human behavior from when people first walked this earth, up until the Neolithic period or the Stone Age, that lasted until around 4500 BC. Dunbar noted that groups, tribes, clans, and villages fell into 3 categories: small, medium, and large. Small groups of 30 to 50 were usually temporary camps with many people coming and going. They were usually night camps where people slept in greater numbers for safety reasons. Medium groups were around 100 to 200 people, and large groups ranged in number from 500 to 2,500 members. When we study groups in the medium range, around that 150 number, we see that tighter relationships and bonds were established to a greater degree. Dunbar's number also relates to more modern ages when discussing numbers of people making up regiments of armies in Roman antiquity, and to the company sizes in modern armies. Furthermore, the average number of wedding invites is around 150 guests, and the number of people we send Christmas cards to each year, when adding in the number in each family, is around 150. Even Amish groups will split their group after the population exceeds 150 people to better the relationships of its members. 150 seems to be the ideal number where the collective works, lives, and cooperates best and will form the most cohesive unit. In a story in the Financial Times written in 2018, Dunbar also mentions we have an inner core of about 5 people to whom we devote about 40% of our time, and 10 more people who we devote another 20% of our time. All in all, we devote about 2/3 of our time to just 15 people. If you check out this graph, you'll see that your close relationship people you rely on are those first 5. The good friends consists of about 15 people. It isn't a coincidence that sports teams, juries, classrooms, and other situations where a group of people need to work towards a common goal are kept small. The friends group would be around 50, and meaningful contacts fall in the 150 range. Beyond Dunbar's number, you extend into the acquaintances group, consisting of 500 people, and the known names in the 1,500 people range. Beyond 1,500 people, we get into the number of individuals you might even have trouble recognizing. Let's talk about Dunbar's number and social media. Social media has thrown a curveball into Dunbar's theory because the internet and being constantly connected has changed human interaction in the biggest way since the invention of the telephone. We can instantly befriend people across the state, country, and world at the click of a button. But honestly, how many friends can you list from memory that follow you on social media? How many of them do you even remotely care about? The main problem with the internet and human connection is that technology has evolved faster than that of the human mind. I wonder if our brains will ever be able to catch up to how fast technological advances are occurring. Dunbar's number has also been adopted by modern companies such as W.L. Gore & Associates, best known for the Gore-Tex brand.
It's Gore-Tex. You know about Gore-Tex?
Unbeknownst to the company, and only through trial and error, the leadership in the company determined that if more than 150 employees were working together in one building, social problems began to occur. The company realized this and started to outfit their buildings to only accommodate 150 employees. Once the parking spaces at the building were filled, the company would build another building again with a capacity for only 150 employees. Sometimes these buildings were only a very short distance away from one another. Now for my take on Dunbar's number, what I think the importance of it is, and how it ties into my prepping plans. If we look at modern society today versus how humans lived in the past, you'll notice the anonymous nature in today's daily encounters with others. For the most part, we are unidentifiable on the internet, completely unknown to others in a crowd, and unrecognizable to the majority of people we interact with. My theory is that this has loosened the bonds within our current society as a whole. Say you lived in a small town of about 5,000 people, which is way more than Dunbar's number. But do you think you might behave better when in public? Maybe someone in your social circle sees you acting the fool. Perhaps you're drunk in public. Someone sees you cheating on your husband or cursing out your waitress. Because of a tighter community, the odds of that story getting around town and its social impact might just have us all acting just a little bit better. In the past, being shamed in public was a dishonor not only to you, but on your family. We had more pride, and I believe we were held more accountable in smaller circles. It seems the opposite of that now. If you watch the news, you might think society is circling the drain. I actually do think we are in a slow motion societal collapse. Maybe it started with the deconstruction of the family, the loss of pride and culpability, maybe the absence of religion. Perhaps it ends with self-serving politicians, zero consequences for crimes, and complete selfishness and complacency. Now, I'm not the morality police, but we seem to be admiring people shaking their asses on TikTok when in the past it would be embarrassment to them and their families. The anonymous nature of today, I think, allows people to do what they might not have otherwise done if we were more connected in smaller social groups. So what I guess I'm trying to say is twofold. First is for all of us to step it up a bit. Do the right thing when no one is looking and expect zero praise for your deeds. Reach out to your neighbors in your community. Get on a first name basis with them. Attend local events where you can introduce yourself to people in your town. Let's start getting back to real human interactions again and get further away from the BS social media stuff. Social media is a lie. It's a fallacy of presenting a manufactured image. It's seeing the guy you went to high school with purchasing a second home while you still rent with 3 roommates. What it's not showing you is that he inherited a ton of money, or he's drowning in debt and living paycheck to pay for his houses. It's also showing you the lavish vacation your ex took, not the 23% interest rate on the credit card he used to pay for it. My point is that we make up the impressions we want others to have about us on social media. It's a very censored look into everyone's lives. Don't believe it and don't take it as truth, because it's a false message. As this relates to prepping, we all need to be very particular as to who we allow in our lives, both socially and from an observational security aspect. There can be those who will simply use you for your knowledge and preps if you allow just anyone into your circle. If you already have a well-established mutual assistant group or MAG group, perhaps we should all do an audit of who can help or hurt the group. In every group, there will always be manipulators, predators, con men, liars, and lazy people. If you are just starting a group of like-minded people, perhaps your group's vetting process should be stepped up to a higher level of those you consider. A MAG group should take a long time to create. Getting to know people, just not on what they offer your group, but their personalities, ethics, and dispositions should be a part of the vetting process. In the hard times, your group may be your village, tribe, or family. Taking Dunbar's number into account, it would be best to keep our community small, where we can hold one another more accountable. The more tight-knit the group, the more cohesive we will work together. The more cohesive we work together, the more successful. The more successful, the more likely we will conquer the adverse time or event we are facing. I hope you found this video interesting. I was both astonished and curious to research Dunbar's number, and I think I agree with his theory. Thank you for staying with me until the end, and I hope you enjoyed my take on the current societal and potential problems that lie therein. The future is untold, and I sincerely hope we can change course from our current trajectory. But in the meantime, refuse to be a victim.